How long till we go on air? How long till we go live? Live from Tan Binh Stadium here in Ho Chi Minh City, this is ABL Friday Basketball, live on Fox Sports. Hello everyone, Paul Borelli alongside Darren Joe and Joe Johnson here to call today's live action. It's going to be a great one. The home side, the Saigon Heat, are here to host the visiting Chang Thailand Slammers. All right, Darren, we've got a great matchup ahead of us today. Both teams are kind of in 5th and 6th position. So they're fighting to get on the bottom of the standings, but both sides are also on a 3-game losing streak. Now the Saigon Heat, most recently, having heard some bad news, they've just lost David Palmer due to injury. Now we haven't found out details about the injury just yet, but that's got to be a big blow to the Heat.
Absolutely. David Palmer for the Saigon Heat is the anchor to the team, and they're really going to miss his size and rebounding and scoring for the Saigon Heat. It's a huge hole for the Saigon Heat.
Now on the other side of the coin, another team on a 3-game losing skid, Coach Ryan and the Chang Thailand Slammers. Now they've got a big 7-footer, so now there's going to be some size mismatches. So there's going to be some, there's going to be a lot of different matchups that we're going to see taking place today's game.
Absolutely. Look for the Thailand Slammers to really pound the ball down low and take advantage of their size against a relatively shorter and smaller Saigon Heat team.
We'll now take a break for the national anthem. Stadium. The crowd still filing in for tonight's game. This is ABL Friday Basketball live on Fox Sports. A quick reminder, don't forget everyone, you can check out all the action from around the league at www.ASEANBasketballLeague.com. Now, Darren, we haven't talked about three-point shooting. We're talking about the inside game. The outside game, Saigon Heat, heavily reliant on their three-point shooting.
Absolutely. So look for the Saigon Heat to try to pound the ball down into Dior Lohorn, and as the Thailand Slammers crowd around him, he's going to kick it out to the Saigon Heat perimeter players, and they're going to need to make some three-pointers tonight.
All right, and defensively, we're going to have to look at how they match up against Chris Charles and Michael Earl, as depth is going to be an issue here tonight, as the Saigon Heat, both sides actually don't have much depth in size throughout their bench.
Yeah, a big part of today's game, Paul, will be the role players. How will they contribute? Will players like Dehesa, will players like Larry Tu, and Philip Morrison be able to come in, contribute, make some shots, and ease the scoring load off Dior Lohorn and Jai Reyes?
Now, rebounding, a big issue because the Slammers have been reliant on Chris Charles to get on the board. Now, Chris Charles had a quiet game his last time out against the Dragons, recording 11 points and 12 rebounds. However, that's a rare performance from him. We normally see him with a lot more points, a lot more rebounds. In fact, he's the rebounds leader in the league.
Yeah, and seeing him up close in person, he is a tall guy. Look for him. He's super active. He's going to be cleaning up the boards, running the floor. He averages almost 5 blocks a game.
That's right. He likes to get out on the three-point shooters, so the Saigon Heat are going to have that to contend with as well. Let's have a look at the starting lineup with the Chang Thailand Slammers. In the backcourt, Roylan Baguion, the league assist leader. He's got Kanawat Laukul beside him, and of course, in the front court, we've got Chanahan Clayhan and Wuthipong Dawson at forward, and Chris Charles, the man in the middle.
Look for Baguion to really look to create shots for his teammates. He's one of the league leaders in assists, and he's great at creating opportunities, especially for his big men.
For the Saigon Heat, we have Jai Reyes and Philip Morrison at point guard and shooting guard, and forward position, Larry Tu, and I believe that's Carl Dehesa, and at center position, filling in for the injured David Palmer, is the big man Dior Lohorn. So size-wise, I mean, he's going to be able to match up well at the center position. However, they're going to miss David Palmer's three-point shooting.
Absolutely. The two key matchups today, Paul, are Lohorn against Charles in the middle, and Reyes versus Baguion at the point guard positions.
All right, we now head to center court, where Chris Charles and Dior Lohorn set to tip it off. And here we go, Ton Binh Stadium. Game is underway. And the Slammers have the first touch on the ball. Chris Charles pops up high, sends it down to Clayhan. Outside to Laukul, and he hits the outside shot. That'll be a long two.
What a great way to start the game for Laukul.
Now the Heat, with their first offensive possession, swinging the ball around. This is two over to Jai Reyes. This is Reyes on the move, inside to Lohorn. And that was blocked by Charles, but partially due to a mishandle by Lohorn. Kind of lost the handle on the pass, and the officials are going to say it's out of bounds, touching the backboard, the back of the backboard there. So back to the Slammers, and this is what we're talking about. Roylan Baguion sends it ahead to Chris Charles, but Lohorn able to tip it away. This is Chanahan Clayhan. Over to Baguion. Baguion outside to Laukul. Pump fake, it's in the plan. Tipped away by Morrison. Dive for it. Great job by Morrison to hustle for the ball. And here comes the Saigon Heat. Jai Reyes, spin move over to Lohorn. High arcing shot over Charles, but that's off the mark.
We can already see the effect Charles is having on Lohorn. His superior size is forcing Lohorn to make fallaway jumpers.
The Slammers, another possession. Charles with the jump shot, gets his own rebound, easily flushes it in. So that's a 4-point lead early on for the Slammers, and this is the difficulty they're going to have with Chris Charles on the offensive board.
Absolutely. You have to put a body on him and make it hard for him to get in the paint. And here he goes again with the steal.
Tips away the pass. Baguion, a no-look pass to Clayhan on the right side. And that's going to be a foul on the play. So Larry 2 drawing his committing his first foul rather of the game, and that's a wise foul because the Slammers had a pretty clear path to the basket there with Chris Charles on the left and Clayhan on the right side. So right off the bat, we've already seen the Slammers try to get into their game flow with, Bagyan looking for Chris Charles early. Chris Charles being very active, getting an offensive rebound already, and getting a putback.
Let's see if the Heat try to slow it down here, gather their composure, set up a nice play here on offense.
Clayhan hitting 1 of 2 from the line. This is Jai Reyes on offense. Larry 2. Morrison. Lohorn pops out. Chris Charles is on him. Lohorn faces up, takes a shot, and that's going to be another tough shot for Lohorn. He's going to have Charles with a hand in his face all night.
And this is where they miss David Palmer, because Palmer provides that spacing that allows Lohorn to attack down low. So Saigon Heat looking for their offensive identity.
Bagyan again finds Chris Charles, who has an easy look at the basket. That's how Bagyan is able to get those kind of assists. He just lobs it up, and Chris Charles is able to grab him up high. Here comes Reyes once again. A nice dish off the Lord. Sends it out to Larry 2, who airballs the 3.
That's right, Larry 2 is one of the top 3-point shooters in this league, Paul. He shoots about 40%. Look for him to knock down his next one.
So an open 3 there for Larry 2, but he misses it. So the ball goes back to possession of Thailand. This is Bagyan once again. He's got Charles on the right side. Charles takes the long 3. And that's off the mark. Here comes the Heat. Charles slow to get back. Here comes Lohorn. And that's blocked. We're going to say it was a clean block.
Looked like a goaltend to me.
So now the Slammers come the other way. Lohorn slow to get back and forced to foul there. Reyes arguing the call, likely arguing the previous call, but nevertheless, Chris Charles is at the line shooting his first free throws of the game.
Dior Lohorn is a big guy, 6'7", but when he's standing next to Charles, he's just dwarfed. Charles is going to present the Saigon Heat a lot of problems inside.
Here's Charles, it's a second free throw, and it's an early 9-0 lead for the Chang Thailand Slammers. Now the Heat trying to get on the board. Reyes, DeHessa, over to 2 on the left side. Back over to Morrison. Great ball movement by the Saigon Heat. Inside to DeHessa. And that shot is off the mark. Chris Charles really doing well defensively to be able to affect the shot. The Saigon Heat so far. And here comes Froilan Bagyan down the lane. Morrison gets a hand on it. It's going to be back to the Slammers. A substitution for the Saigon Heat as Ben Wisniewski comes into the game for Larry 2 now. Karen, we've seen Ben Wisniewski once against the Slingers as we see a quick inbound pass to Wutipong Dawson, who gets another basket for the Slammers, putting them up 11. Yeah, now we've seen Ben Wisniewski for the Heat had a solid game against the Slingers a couple weeks ago, replacing the injured Lohorn at the time. But he doesn't give them the size that they need, but a very solid player offensively and defensively.
Yes, look for him to really box out, look to clean up those rebounds, give Lohorn some help down low.
There's Wisniewski, cross-court pass to Morrison for the 3. Hits it off the back iron, tries to save his own miss, but into the hands of the Slammers. Here comes Thailand. They are one man up as Morrison is slow to get back. Dawson easily misses the layup, but Chris Charles is there for the tip-in, and Jason Robideau has seen enough. After an early 13-0 run, it's 13-0 for the Chang Thailand Slammers. Here in the first, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action from ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. We are back at Tan Binh Stadium here in Ho Chi Minh City, where the Chang Thailand Slammers has taken an early 13-0 lead over the hometown heroes, the Saigon Heat. And of course, attributed a lot to Chris Charles, the man in the middle.
Absolutely. They're putting so much pressure on Dier Lohorn down low as he does not want to pick up those fouls because Saigon Heat have no big men.
So Reyes, again, another pass is tipped away by Charles, but that time with his leg, so it's going to stay Saigon Heat possession. You're right, Darren. You know, the Heat not having much depth and size on the bench, so they're going to try to keep Dier Lohorn out of foul trouble. And defensively, he's going to have to back off a little bit. Here comes DeHessa over to Lohorn. A nice high-arcing jump shot, and the Saigon Heat are on the board. Roylan Baguian, the man on the point, gets the screen from Charles. Over to Clayhan. This is Chanahan Clayhan down the lane. Finger roll layup is good.
And the Thailand Slammers, as we watch Clayhan drive the lane with the finger roll for the layup, it's too easy for them to get into the heart of the Saigon Heat defense.
Dier Lohorn now for three, and that's good. So Lohorn heating up here for Saigon.
And the Heat will take that shot, even though that's not Dier Lohorn's game. He's really putting them on his shoulders right now.
Lohorn, sole scorer for the Heat right now. Baguian drives between three Saigon Heat defenders. The ball gets tipped out of bounds. It will stay Slammer possession. Inbounds pass, a bounce pass to Clan with the acrobatic 360 shot. That's off the mark, but the smallest man for the Slammers right now, Laukul, is able to get the offensive putback, and that's going to be a problem for the Heat.
Yeah, and Reyes is clearly frustrated. What a fantastic alley-oop pass from Reyes to Lohorn. But the Saigon Heat are getting worked on the boards. They are getting massively out-rebounded.
Nice lead pass there for Dier Lohorn. So Lohorn getting scoring going early for the Heat. Baguian misses the layup. Lohorn cleans up the glass. Here comes Morrison. Morrison pulls up and almost gathers his own miss. Rebound taken away, and this is Baguian. Charles calling for it in the middle. Baguian gets the screen from Clan. Over to Chris Charles. Charles takes the jumper. That's off the mark. Saigon Heat sends it ahead to Lohorn, and he misses the jump shot. So a lot of jump shots being taken right now for the Saigon Heat, trying to get themselves going, but we've all seen it before. The Saigon Heat love to shoot, and they're very streaky as well. They love to get their shooting going early on.
Yeah, it seems like their strategy, Paul, is to really try to get some easy buckets in transition, but they haven't been able to convert.
Another missed shot.
They're really pushing the tempo.
By the Slammers is Jai Reyes. Again, Lohorn fakes the shot, drives the lane, and draws the foul as Chris Charles catches him across the arm. So a nice move there after several jump shots from Dier Lohorn, puts it on the floor and gets Chris Charles his first foul of the game. Now, you know, we talked about foul trouble for the Saigon Heat and how Lohorn has to avoid it, but on the other side of that spectrum, Chris Charles has also got to be careful not to get into foul trouble, as there's not much depth on the Slammer bench either.
Absolutely. He is their rock. He is their final line of defense. And the Slammers need Chris Charles back there to cover up everyone's mistakes. As we look at Coach Rab.
Lohorn, a 65% free throw shooter on the season. Makes good on both of his attempts from the line. And that closes the gap back down to single digits. So the Heat now settling down, able to find some offense. Binh Chu into the game. A nice pass inside from Chris Charles to Clayhan. Clayhan knocks down Carl DeHessa, and they're going to call that an offensive foul against Chanahan Clayhan.
And that's why the crowd here loves Carl DeHessa. He is the Saigon Heat's defensive stopper, the effort guy, the guy who's diving on the floor for balls. Let's see if the Heat can get someone else besides Dior Lohorn involved in the offense.
Here's Jai Reyes, puts up his first shot of the game. He misses from the outside. And the Slammers on the move. Dawson catches it inside. Now, Dawson, we've seen an amazing 2013 season from him so far. He's really coming to his own. He's got that outside shot. He feels very comfortable underneath the basket, and he's shown it right there.
The Slammers are smart. They're running down the floor, getting great post position deep against the undersized Saigon Heat team, getting easy layups. As a result,
Wisniewski over to Reyes. Reyes misses on the baseline drive. Rebound snatched up by Chris Charles. This is Baguian. Over to Fernandez, who gets his first touch on the ball. And he misses that jump shot from the corner. Carl DeHessa over to Reyes. Reyes gives it to the open Lohorn. And another three from the outside. Theo Lohorn pulls them to within 7.
Lohorn has all 12 of the Saigon Heat points. He is putting that team on his shoulders. And he with the steal.
A spark for the Saigon Heat coming from Theo Lohorn. Ben Wisniewski now gets the pump fake, and Clayhan draws his second foul of the game here early on.
And that's just a veteran move by Wisniewski. Gets his defender in the air, jumps into him to generate the contact. Now 2 shots at the line.
Yeah, great fundamentals for Ben Wisniewski. Able to draw the foul on that nice pump fake. Wisniewski over 70% from the line, so the Heat looking to close the gap even further. Don't forget, you can watch every ABL game highlight and behind-the-scenes content on our website, www.ASEANBasketballLeague.com, and you can catch all our games from around the league live, streaming from youtube.com/ABL.
Oh, they ruled that a non-shooting foul, so
Correct.
they'll take the ball from out of bounds.
So they're going to rule that a foul on the floor. This is an inbounds. Back to the Heat. Lohorn gets roughed up inside from Charles as he tries to deny Lohorn of the entry pass, and that's going to be a second foul on Chris Charles.
And I'm sure Coach Joe Bryan of the Thailand Slammers is not happy to see that kind of foul. That's his second foul, and you want to see Charles pick up fouls going for blocks, not going for steals.
Yeah, so we've talked about this early on. Both sides were going to try to avoid foul trouble, and 2 first quarter fouls for Chris Charles will send him to the bench. Lohorn, an absolute monster for the Heat this first quarter.
He already has half of his regular season scoring average. Incredible performance by Dior Lohorn in the first quarter.
So Jason Robideau rotating his players often, except for Dior Lohorn, who he's opted to keep out so far for the entire first quarter. Here come the Chang Thailand Slammers once again. This is Sektira on the drive, dishes to Michael Earl, and Earl gets it to go down and breaks their scoring drought. So with under a minute to go here in the first quarter, the Saigon Heat have it. This is Jai Reyes. Reyes with the hesitation dribble out to Lohorn. Lohorn tries for his third triple, and here comes Lohorn off the offensive rebound from Ben Wisniewski, and that's going to be another layup for Theo Lohorn. So the Saigon Heat within 5. Slammers on the move. Here's Michael Earl, loses the handle, and back the other way, here comes the Saigon Heat. Mid-true finishes a fast break, and that's going to bring them within 1 possession.
And that's just a perfect bounce pass to Ming Tru, who finishes with the right-handed layup.
With time running out, the Slammers missed their last shot of the first quarter, and that's how the first quarter comes to a close. It's 21-18 for the Chang Thailand Slammers. What an exciting first quarter we've had so far. Still plenty to go here at Binh Stadium. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with second quarter action on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. back at Binh Stadium, where the first quarter has just come to a close. The score is 21-18 for the Chang Thailand Slammers, who came out to a big lead early on in the first quarter. However, Saigon Heat came roaring back behind Dio Lohorn, and now they're back within one possession.
Absolutely. You know, the Saigon Heat have shown a lot of heart. The Thailand Slammers are doing a lot of pick and roll action using Florian Bagon, getting their big men easy looks down low, but the Saigon Heat are gritty. They scored, they went on a 6-0 run to end the quarter, and they're right back in this game, Paul.
So what we expected from the beginning is going to be a close one the entire way. So it's 21-18. We're about to tip off the second quarter with the Chang Thailand Slammers and the Saigon Heat. We've got Dio Lohorn, Jai Reyes, Ben Wisniewski, Philip Morrison, and Larry Tu to start the second for the Heat. For the Slammers, it's Pyrax Siktira, Michael Earl, Fernandez, Sukhdev Gogar.
And as Morrison shoots an air ball there, he is a key component for this Saigon Heat team. They really need him to put some points on the board. Let's see if he can get his rhythm back.
Roylan Bagyan taking control here. Sends it over. Pass from Gogar to Michael Earl, who takes a long jump shot. Fernandez gathers up the miss. A second chance at this one. Roylan Bagyan gets the screen from Earl. Earl catches it off the roll, and he gets fouled by Ben Wisniewski in the key.
I'm just really loving Bagyan's patience while handling the ball. He is so good at finding those little nooks and crannies to get into the lane and get his other teammates lots of great shots and opportunities.
A veteran of the ABL, Roylan Bagyan, who's won 2 championships so far within 4 seasons. A nice pass inside the Siktira, and that's going to be another easy assist for Roylan Bagyan.
And that's the 4th inbound play that the Thailand Slammers have scored a layup on.
The Heat having difficulty defending that inbounds play from the Saigon Heat, and now Jai Reyes accidentally dribbles it off his own leg and out of bounds. So Jai Reyes still looking for his game to get going. Slammers back on offense. Bagyan, the pass inside. Sukhdev Gogar tries to dish it inside. Fernandez, nowhere to go. Gives it to Larry Tu. Larry Tu dishes to Reyes. Reyes with the layup. Saigon Heat with another transition basket.
What a finish by Jai Reyes as he uses his body to create some space. Finish with that right hand.
And on the other end, we have a traveling violation as Michael Earl comes back down with the ball still in his possession. That's going to give it back to the Saigon Heat.
And you can feel the Saigon Heat crowd really starting to get into this game, and they often give their team a great boost here at home.
Often referred to as the 6th man for the Saigon Heat. A much needed 6th man. There's Reyes. He's got the advantage over the bigger Gogar. He misses the layup, but Dio Lohorn is there to clean it up.
Reyes creates with the layup and leaves no one for the rebound. Lohorn cleans up with the follow.
Drawing all sorts of defenders on that play. Bagyan. Kent to Gogar. Back outside to Bagyan. Bagyan with the jab step and the killer jump shot.
That was sweet as candy.
Bagyan with a nice touch. We know he can make that outside shot from time to time. Now Ben Wisniewski handling the ball for the Heat. Outside to Lohorn. Fakes it to Hissa from the outside. And that's off. Here comes Bagyan. Bagyan, crossover. Dishes it off, tries to find Earl. It was tipped out of bounds by the Heat. So the Slammers are going to have it on the side. Substitutions coming into the game.
Klahan checks in.
So it's 26-22 for the Slammers. A 4-point lead, which was a much bigger double-digit lead earlier on in the first, quickly erased by Lohorn and the rest of his squad. But Sectira now trying to increase that from the line. So basically now both sides are on the floor without a center, so to speak.
So what the Saigon Heat are doing is really spreading the floor. They have no big person down low. They're playing 5 around the perimeter and trying to get some drives to the hoop, especially with Jai Reyes.
Reyes over to Lohorn for the outside shot, and he hits another triple. Wow.
Lohorn squares up, knocks down the 3, and he tucks his fingers in as it's his belt.
Without Chris Charles to get a hand up on him, able to knock him down, another triple. Here's Fernandez on the other end, misses the shot. Heat with the rebound, and that's an errant pass from Trung, who tries to give it to Reyes, but passes it off his leg. So that's twice the ball has gone out of bounds. Once it wasn't even his fault. Jai Reyes accidentally there.
And those really can be momentum killers. Those. Again, looks like the Saigon Heat have taken a timeout.
We will take another short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll go right back with more ABL Friday basketball. To 25, the Chang Thailand Slammers hanging on to a slim lead over the home side, the Saigon Heat, as we are just over 6 minutes remaining in the second quarter. The Chang Thailand Slammers have it off the inbounds, back after the timeout.
Coach Bryan is calling out the play from the sides. Interesting move from Coach Bryan, not putting Charles back into the lineup. 6 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Fernandez backs away, leaves it short, but the Slammers get a rebound. Bangyan puts it back up and hits his second triple.
When Bangyan is heating up, that's 2 for 2 3-pointers, normally a 30% shooter from the field. He is feeling it tonight.
Saigon Heat doing a good job so far without their center, the man in the middle, David Palmer, out due to injury. We have yet to hear how severe the injury is and how long he'll be out for. We'll try to report on that later on.
And they just called an illegal screen from Carl De Hessa.
So the ball will go back to the hands of the Slammers as now Tongsri comes into the game.
And Tongsri is a great 3-point shooter. Look for him to shoot.
Sectira on the drive, a foul beforehand. The ball is going to go back the other way.
And Paul, this is the quietest I've ever heard Tom Binh Stadium. I think they're missing their emotional leader in David Palmer, because he's not only a scoring presence, but he's a very emotional player. He gets the crowd involved, and I think the crowd's really missing him right now.
Oh, De Hessa fouled on the drive. He will go to the line, where he is a great free throw shooter. Doesn't get there often, but has knocked it down when he does. Carl de Hesse, having fouled out his last time out against the Singapore Slingers, actually his last 2 times out against the Slingers, once here at home and their previous game away, but not afraid to put his body in the way and take that foul.
And this is a great opportunity with David Palmer out for the other Saigon Heat players to really show what they're made of here tonight.
Second free throw missed. And Froilan Baguian back on the point. He's got Reyes in front of him. Baguian goes left.
The Saigon Heat have moved to a 2-3 zone to try to alleviate their size disadvantage.
Sectira catches it inside, outside the Tongsri. His shot is partially blocked. And
another defensive play from Tehessa.
The Heat come back the other way. 2, drives inside. And that comes up short. Baguian tries to fire a pass inside to Sectira.
That was just a millisecond miscommunication between the 2 players. Baguian had a great look at Sectira, who just didn't have his head up, wasn't expecting the pass.
So substitutions for both sides here as Coach Bryan decides to put Chris Charles back in after picking up 2 early fouls. Chenahan Clahan with 3 fouls for the Slammers, so the Slammers in early foul trouble here.
So we see Coach Joe Bryant, father of Kobe Bryant, of course, of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Carl de Hesse with a nice move inside.
That's a nice post move by de Hesse. Backs the smaller man down. Goes up for the easy layup.
Puts it up quickly before anybody else gets around. And Dawson open inside. Min True has no choice but to foul him on that play.
And this is when Min should say, I fouled him. So to save his teammate, Dear Lohorn, from picking up the foul.
Dawson, a great player, off the ball, able to find open spots on the floor, outside and underneath the basket, showing it there as he's able to get to the free throw line.
It's just a solid player with great fundamentals. Nothing flashy about his game, but just seems to get where he needs to get on the court and make his shots.
Dawson shooting under 60% from the free throw line for the season. Makes his first.
And we have 2 local players on the Saigon Heat team, Trung and Min, who are playing together in the backcourt for the very first time this season. Oh, wow.
Lots of free throw lane violations there.
And you can't blame Jai Reyes. He's about twice as tall as the man standing next to him, and he was trying to get inside position on Charles. Just stepped in a little too soon.
I think every player stepped in too soon on that one. A second free throw barely tickles the twine. And Dawson makes good on both. So the Slammers take a 4-point lead once again.
As Trung sits down.
Carl de Hesse. Lohorn pops out for the screen. Down the lane goes de Hesse. And that shot has got to be affected by Chris Charles.
Absolutely. He didn't get the block. That won't show on the stat sheet, but he definitely altered that shot.
Froilan Baguian moving left and right. Piram Villachai inside to Charles. Charles backs his way in, tries to grab the rebound over Lohorn. It goes into the hands of Dawson. He can't get it to go. And now the Heat have it. On the break, Baguian takes it away. The veteran tries to go. Oh! He tries to get the shot off, but it's going to be a shot. That was an amazing play, even though that's not going to count. But Froilan Baguian first started it with the steal, tries to get down the floor, and as he got fouled, he quickly put up the shot, which isn't going to count, but it went in anyway.
Baguian, for those of you who watch the NBA, reminds me a little of Chris Paul, from the LA Clippers. He's quick, he's great off the pick and roll. He's everywhere on defense, getting his hand in the lane.
And he's very patient.
And he's very patient, calm, collected. He's a great floor general for this Thailand Slammers team.
So not one to rely on speed, but more his smarts.
Absolutely, a very savvy veteran player.
Bagyan misses his first free throw. Chris Charles hanging way back, not even lining up for the rebound, hanging back on defense. The Heat.
Man.
That was off the tip from the Slammers, so it's still Heat possession, but there's 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
Coach Brian is saying, shouldn't that be a backcourt violation?
A hard screen set by Lohorn, 3 seconds on the shot clock, and either it's going to be out of bounds or a shot clock violation anyway. They're going to say it was out of bounds.
It's out of bounds, and Coach Joe Bryan of the Slammers calls a timeout. There might be something slippery on that ball because the Saigon Heat team haven't been able to just hold on to that ball. The ball bouncing off their feet, bouncing off their elbows. They have had quite a lot of turnovers this game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of turnovers on both sides, but now the foul trouble that we spoke about earlier in the game now favors the Heat because the Chang Thailand Slammers have got early foul trouble for Chris Charles and Chenahan Clan, so that's got to affect their size.
Yeah, but I think the Slammers really need to go back down to Charles. I mean, he was absolutely dominating in the first quarter. He hasn't touched the ball once on offense since coming back in this second quarter.
The Saigon Heat fairly quiet so far from the outside.
Yeah. So, Dear Lohorn, it's both sides really struggling on offense. You can see the Saigon Heat spreading the floor. Dehesa trying to do a lot of pick and roll with Dear Lohorn, but again, Charles is really affecting all those inside layups.
Jason Robideau loves the dribble penetration kick out, which is something that really works for the Saigon Heat. But shooters still finding their touch right now as we see Jason Robideau talking to his troops.
So look for him to go back to Jai Reyes and for Jai Reyes to create some opportunities for himself or Dear Lohorn.
So the Slammers will have it back on their own end.
This is a really pivotal game for both teams. As you said earlier, both teams having lost 3 in a row, and as we get towards the midpoint of the season, an all-star break coming up in a few weeks, both teams want to generate some momentum, get back into the middle pack of the standings, and hopefully make the playoffs by the end of the year.
So the Hoops Festival weekend coming up the following weekend after the next, here.
Who are you picking for the slam dunk champ?
Well, that's going to be tough. There's a lot of dunkers right now in the ABL. All around the league, there's some high flyers. As we see Froilan Bagyan launching another triple from the outside, this time from the right corner, and he knocks it down.
He is on fire. If this was a video game, that ball coming off his hands would be on fire. As he gets the steal, he takes it all the way and does not finish.
So a foul by Min Chu, who's forced to foul Bagyan. Again, Bagyan with a steal and a fast break to stretch the lead back out to 7, possibly more.
Yeah, the Thailand Slammers are doing a great job of putting just the right amount of pressure on the Heat perimeter players as they bring up the ball and causing them to be a little frightened and anxious, and they're giving the ball up.
So another 2 free throws coming up. The Heat over the foul limit. So every foul, the remainder of the way, will send the Slammers to the line as Bagyan hits his first free throw. Both are good for Froilan Bagyan. And he makes it a 9-point lead now for the Slammers. So the Heat cooling off a little bit, but Jai Reyes there shifts the ball left and back over to the right off the glass. and that cuts the lead back down to 7.
That's a great adjustment by Coach Rabidow. He's bringing the screen up higher past the three-point line to give Reyes more space to create off the dribble.
Bagyan feeling it, misses that one. Chris Charles with the rebound, loses the handle, but it goes back to the hands of the Slammers. Laukul, though, sends it out of bounds, trying to pass it to Froilan Bagyan. The Heat with a chance to cut the lead back down once again. Jai Reyes down the lane, outside to Min. Here's Min. Back over to Reyes. Reyes looks for Lowhorn, decides to shoot it instead. It's off the mark. Min comes up with the offensive rebound, so a great rebound by the much smaller Min. Carl De Hessa. That's another turnover for the Saigon Heat.
It's great hustle from the Saigon Heat, but the role players like Min, De Hessa, they cannot be afraid to shoot that ball. Both had wide open looks under the basket there.
Turnover's a problem so far for the Saigon Heat in the first half. We've got Laukul on the point. Karambilichai. Bagyan inside to Dawson. Dawson on the baseline. Tries to put up the reverse, gets tangled up with Lowhorn. That will be Lowhorn's second foul of the game.
Again, Dawson's so good at finding those little open spaces down low for his teammates to pass him the ball. The Saigon Heat 2-3 defense seems to be doing quite well against the Thailand Slammers, slowing their offense down a little bit.
So a minute and a half remaining, just under a minute and a half remaining in the second quarter. As both coaches anxiously hanging off the sidelines here. As they will call, they'll say the free throw was good. Lowhorn is claiming there was a lane violation. I tend to agree. Nevertheless, it's 38-30 for the Slammers. Jai Reyes once again. Here's Wisniewski. Inside to Lowhorn. Lowhorn gets double teamed outside to Wisniewski. He misses the three. Lowhorn almost gets the tap. The Slammers have it back. Tipped away from behind, so Bagyan gets his pocket pick now. And the Heat, the other way. Lowhorn trying to get the tip. Misses the putback. The Slammers coming back down the floor. Dawson quickly to get up as he hits the deck.
Bagyan says, let's calm down a little bit and set up a good play here.
Bagyan knows they've got the lead. No need to rush it, but Karambilichai now. That's going to be a long two from the corner. Karambilichai with his first 2 points of the game. A foul in the backcourt against Laukul.
Laukul has been pressing Jai Reyes all game, and Reyes is breathing quite heavily. Laukul is doing a great job with that full court pressure.
A couple of young guys there with young legs, able to keep up with each other up and down the floor. Jai Reyes has it back with under 30 seconds to go now in the first half. A 10-point lead for the Slammers. Reyes inside to Lowhorn. He's got Gogar backing him down. Lowhorn powering his way to the hoop. So Lowhorn recognizing the mismatch inside, using his size and strength to get to the basket. And time runs out there for Froilan Bagyan as the first half comes to a close. It's 40-32 for the Chang Thailand Slammers. At the end of the first half here on ABL Friday Basketball live on Fox Sports. The Slammers jumping out to an early first quarter lead. Then the Heat coming storming back behind Dior Lowhorn. He was a beast on the inside, able to shoot the three from the outside. but the Slammers now able to distance themselves a little bit.
Yeah, the Slammers are just a deeper team today without David Palmer on the Saigon Heat. And they're slowly starting to pull away. Soyan Bagyan controlling the tempo of the game and, you know, making threes, getting his teammates involved, getting his teammates to the line. And now they're up by 8 points going into the break.
We've got Joe Johnson, who's standing by with coach of the Chang Thailand Slammers, Joe Jellybean Bryant.
I'm here with Chang Thailand Slammers coach Joe Bryant. Coach, Chris Charles got in foul trouble early. Did that change your game plan at all?
Well, I just told him to be careful. It did change a little bit, but you know, I got to try to rotate the players in and out. But you know, one thing I want to say that, you know, Saigon's playing well, even though they have one import. You know, and this crowd is a great crowd here. Probably the best in basketball. So I told our players you got to stay focused because Saigon's going to play with a certain energy because of the crowd. So we just got to make our free throws and then move forward from there.
Great, thank you very much, Coach. Okay. Have a good second half. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Joe. So it's a 40-32 lead for Coach Bryant's Chang Thailand Slammers. We'll take a short break. Don't go anywhere. This is ABL Friday Basketball live on Fox Sports. Right here at Binh Stadium, where the action is hot and heavy. The Saigon Heat facing off against the Chang Thailand Slammers. Slammers taking an 8-point lead into halftime. A great matchup so far, Jared, as we have a look at the halftime festivities here on the court.
It's a bit hard to concentrate. The Saigon Heat Hot Girls, that's what they're called, and I think they're drawing more YouTube views than the actual games themselves. As we see them on TV.
Great entertainment for a great crowd here at home.
Yeah, and the first half was interesting because the Slammers just showed their superior depth. They had 8 players who got on the board, where the Saigon Heat only had 4 players. They shot 50% versus the Saigon Heat only shooting 33%. And I think the biggest difference is that the Thai Slammers were getting to the free throw line. They got to the free throw line 14 times against the 6 times for the Saigon Heat. So their size and depth is getting to the Saigon Heat.
For the Heat, Dior Lohorn with a monster first half, 23 points and 5 rebounds to go along with that. He was 3 of 5 from the outside, so carrying a brunt of the load for the Saigon Heat. On the other side, pretty much what we expected from the combination of Baghian and Charles. Chris Charles with a quiet first half offensively as he was hit with 2 fouls earlier on in the first. Able to get 8 points, however, he matched that with 8 rebounds. So on track on the boards as he did all season long. Roylan Baghian recording 11 points so far, along with 5 assists.
Let's not forget about Dawson, who had some big buckets and free throws in that second quarter.
So the Slammers shooting a little better than the Saigon Heat right now, especially from the outside. This is still ABL Friday basketball on Fox Sports. The Chang Thailand Slammers and the Saigon Heat at halftime, 40-32. More action on Fox Sports after this. No stats? Kim? Highlights? No? No? Any highlights? No? Back to the game after this? Thank you. Don't worry. Yeah, I think I can. Sometimes I can. Right now I can, so I don't want to. Welcome back to ABL Friday Basketball live on Fox Sports. Paul Pelelli alongside Darren Joe and Joe Johnson calling today's matchup between the Slammers and the Heat. So far, what we expected from the Slammers size-wise, they've got the advantage with David Palmer out. The Slammers have the advantage on the boards, showing it by out-rebounding the Heat 25-16 in the first half.
Yeah, and it's rebounds, it's also points in the paint, it's free throws, and it's the number of bigger players from the Thailand Slammers getting points.
And right now, with a 40-32 lead as we get set to start the second half, the Chang Thailand Slammers relying on Chris Charles. However, with foul trouble, having committed 2 earlier on in the first, Coach Bryant had to take him out, and with that, Dior Lorne set off the Saigon Heat on a scoring run.
Yeah, and it did affect the Slammers, but I really like Coach Bryant because you can tell he really believes in each and every one of his players, and he's going to give them plenty of opportunities, and they're stepping up. 8 players have scored, and even with their second leading scorer, Earl, only has 2 points so far.
Let's have a look at the stats from the first half. First half statistics with the Chang Thailand Slammers shooting 47% to the Heat's 35. Now from the outside, the Slammers are also bettering the Heat slightly at 33%. And as we talked about it before, the rebounds, that is actually 25 rebounds to the Saigon Heat's 16. So again, the advantage on the boards, from the field goal percentage, largely due to shots being made from the inside.
Absolutely, and Saigon Heat have been staying in this game by being pesky, having a lot of heart. As you can see, the Slammers had 10 turnovers. The Saigon Heat have benefited from those turnovers.
18 points in the paint so far for the Slammers, and with Chris Charles doing a good job after coming back into the game with 5 minutes remaining in the second quarter, able to stay out of foul trouble.
Absolutely, and look for the Slammers to go right back to him as they start the second half.
Dior Lohorn going a little bit quieter after that crazy first half where he was just knocking down outside shots, grabbing, rebounds. Let's have a look at the first half highlights. A lot of action.
Lohorn made 3 3-pointers, which, here we go. So Jai Reyes with the look ahead to Lohorn, who finishes strong with the right hand. Actually, Dawson got the block there. I forgot, and Bagan comes back down, little crossover dribble, gets his Dawson an easy score on the other end.
We will bring you more highlights in a little while. Let's talk a little bit about both teams right now. Both teams, we already mentioned before, are on 3-game losing streaks. The Heat, their first of the 3-game losing streak was a big loss in Yanaris Sports Arena against the Pyramid. It was a 174 blowout. Since then, they have dropped 2 more games against the Singapore Slingers. And what have the Heat got to do to break this drought?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Paul. The one thing you can always bet on with the Saigon Heat, their crowd is going to get behind them and really give it everything they got. And as Coach Joe Bryant said during halftime, as we watch highlights, with Bagan with the alley-oop pass to Charles for the easy layup. The one thing Coach Bryant said to Joe, our reporting, was that you can never count out the Saigon Heat because their crowd can get the team back into this game at any point in time. So look for the crowd to be a play factor in this game.
You are right about that, Darren, and the Slammers having a similar fate as of late, dropping 3 straight as well. And both teams are actually quite streaky. The Slammers having lost 3 straight to start the season, then winning 2 in a row, and dropping 3 consecutive after that. But they've had to face off against a couple of very tough matchups. They had lost one to the Pyramid, another against the Warriors. Those are the league's 2 leading teams right now, and then their most recent loss against the Dragons. As we get ready to tip off the second half, the Slammers looking to turn things around. As we spoke to Coach Bryant before the start of the game, he's quite positive about the outlook of his team so far. He's happy with the way they're playing. I mean, there were a couple tough losses there, facing off against the Beermen, the Warriors. I mean, those are two teams that are going to be difficult to beat for any team around the league. And the Dragons, who have really come into their own as of late, with Sammy Monroe and Justin Melton, a couple of new acquisitions for Malaysia, who are just, absolutely stunning if you've caught any of their games. Those guys are really performing for the Dragons. The second half now underway here at Tan Minh Stadium.
What's better than Friday night basketball in Saigon?
A quick foul to start off the second half here, rather. Hey, whether it's ABL Friday basketball or not, it's always crazy here in Tan Minh, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think these fans, they've been on their motorbikes getting to the stadium. They've been in traffic for 45 minutes. They're ready to have a good time in Memphis.
A later than usual arriving crowd, but nevertheless, at full capacity now.
I mean, Lurt Lauko looks like he can be in high school. He's so young.
One of the young local talents being bred by Coach Bryant and showing a lot of confidence with his young players, putting them into the game, right into the rotation at different parts of the game. The Heat now starting off their second half. Larry, too, with an acrobatic left-handed layup.
What a beautiful drive by Larry, too. He takes it, he says, I can drive left, too. Goes up and under, finishes with the left hand.
So Bagyan, Dawson, Clayhan, Lurt Lauko, and Charles to start the second half for the Slammers, as Lurt Lauko now makes good on his jump shot. That's going to be his first basket of the game.
What a great spot for Lurt Lauko to be under the wings of Bagyan, learn the ropes, how to win in this league.
Lohorn, Dehesa, Reyes, 2, and Min to start the second half for the Heat. Lohorn takes it inside. Charles, careful not to foul him. Outside the 2. That's off the mark. That's going to be a loose ball foul against Roylan Baguio.
And we can really see the defense of Charles disrupting Lohorn's game. Even though he does have 20 points, Lohorn is a bruiser. He gets his points inside, and Charles is pushing him out of the paint at that length. As you watch him defend Lohorn right now.
Lohorn faces up and hits the jump shot. As that time, no defense from Chris Charles allows Lohorn to drain the jumper.
I think Lohorn heard me. He says, Darren, I can shoot a jumper, as he scores from outside.
Dawson now, he hits from beyond the arc, and that quiets the crowd here at Tan Minh. It is back up to a double-digit lead for the Slammers, 47-36 early in the third quarter. Dehesa hands it off to Reyes. Reyes down the lane, outside to 2. 2 now, dribble penetration, and he gets tangled up with Chris Charles, who denies him of the basket. Heat still with the possession. 3 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Dehesa forced to send it up, but Min gathers up the offensive rebound, and the Heat will have a second crack at it. 2 along the baseline to Dehesa. Lohorn hits the outside 3 once again.
That's just an amazing shot from Theodore Lohorn. I mean, he's 4 feet behind the three-point line, drills it in his opponent's face.
Bagyan, drive and kick out. As Charles has it, double team over to Clayhan. Clayhan over to Lurt Lauko. That's off the mark, 2, with the rebound and having to straddle Chris Charles. And Reyes tries to drive the lane, but Bagyan tips it away. And now Dawson on the drive. Lohorn is unable to stop him. There is a wet spot on the floor as Dawson slips after that layup.
Lohorn saying that I was trying to call a timeout because there's a wet spot on the floor and it's dangerous to all the players.
Ball's got to be in your possession to call a timeout, so that one goes to the Slammers.
Again, it's an uphill battle for the Saigon Heat because all their points are coming from outside shots. If they can make those shots, they have a chance, but the Slammers are going to look to keep grinding them down inside.
With Bryant quite content with his players running the floor in that last possession. Now the Heat on the offense. Lohorn shovels it over to 2. 2 for 3. That's off the mark. And once again, the offensive rebound is gathered by Carl DeHessa, but he's unable to save it as he was backed out of bounds along the baseline. So the Slammers will have it back. 10-point lead for the Slammers with under 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Chris Charles spins around Lowhorn, leaves it short. Lowhorn grabs the rebound. Here comes Reyes. 2 down the middle. And beats Chris Charles with a nice layup there.
What a finish, too. Going over the big man, Chris Charles. Nice left hand.
Bogyan gets fouled by Min-True as he slips the screen.
Larry, too, normally known as a three-point threat, has really shown he can slash and finish among the trees inside.
Bogyan inbounding from the sidelines. Charles gets it up high. Hands it off to Lert Laucool. Lert Laucool on the right side asking for the isolation. Tries to get the entry pass to Clayhan. So Shanahan Clayhan still with 3 fouls. And for the Heat,
Wisniewski checks in for Min. Oh! Again, another Thailand Slammer inbound pass layup. Coach Rabidow from the Saigon Heat must be furious.
So no defense so far off any baseline inbounds from the Slammers. Heat try to swing the ball around, but Dawson gets a hand up, able to tip it away. 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock for the Heat. As DeHessa inbounds to Reyes. Reyes spins his way around. The ball gets sent over to 2. 3 seconds remain on the shot clock, and he loses the ball. The Slammers have it back, and Bogyan slows things down. Gets the screen from Charles. Pulls it back. Bogyan for 3. Misses it. Jai Reyes back on the move, out of control. Bogyan with the steal, and Dawson with the layup and the foul. So off this breakaway, a 2-on-1 that has DeHessa turning around and around, and he fouls the worst possible kind of foul. He doesn't do much to stop the layup, but catches him enough for the rest to blow the whistle.
Can we call Dawson on the Thailand Slammers the new Bangkok Mamba? I mean, he just scores at the most opportune times. Once the Saigon Heat crowd gets into it, he's knocked down 3s, scored inside, finishes with the layup, and perhaps a 3-point play here. So
the nickname previously belonging to the player just headed for the bench, Jai Reyes, is facing off against his coach, Joe Bryant, who coached him last year on the Bangkok Cobras. Dawson misses the extra point, and the rebound goes to the Heat. This is DeHessa.
the Heat really need to get this into single digits right now in this third quarter to keep it close.
Bullhorn back over to DeHessa, misses the 3. Bogyan grabs the rebound. And Bogyan, a nice crossover down the lane. Charles mishandles the pass. Bogyan able to get a hand in and poke it away. Players diving everywhere. Great hustle from both sides. And there's going to be a foul on the floor.
You know, Paul, I love players like Carl DeHessa. As we watch Wisniewski dive all out for the ball.
So a timeout on the floor as we take a short break and step away. Don't go anywhere. This is ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. are live from Ho Chi Minh City and Tan Binh Stadium. And today's matchup against the Chang Thailand Slammers against the Saigon Heat. The Slammers now stretching the lead back out to double digits, leading by 12.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Slammers are just playing good, solid ball, getting the ball down low. Gossip with another great three-point play to bring that lead back up to 12.
And a lot of hustle there on that last sequence as we saw, multiple players hitting the decks for both sides, trying to grab the basketball. But it was all sparked by Froilan Bagyon, who tipped away a rebound from between the legs of Chris Charles. I don't know how he got that, but that shows what kind of hustle Froilan Bagyon is showing on the floor at all times, and able to always get the steal here and there. And that time leading to another possession by the Slammers. So an inbound pass now for Thailand. Learn Laocool. Morrison draped all over it. Clayhan got it on the outside to Bagyon. Bagyon puts it on the floor, back outside. Shot is short, and Wisniewski comes up with it. The Slammers get back on defense. Lohorn calling for it down low. Unable to get the entry pass. Wisniewski back up top, and Learn Laocool a little too strong there on the defensive end.
So the Saigon Heat haven't been able to knock down their outside shots in this third quarter, being the smaller team, and we can see Coach Rabideau really trying to get the ball down into Dior Lohorn and establish some sort of inside presence in this third quarter.
Chris Charles doing a good job to deny the inside pass to Lohorn. Lohorn having to earn the bulk of his points from the outside. Now gets the mismatch inside, but Chris Charles comes over from the weak side to erase that shot. Dehesa on the other end almost gets the steal, but unable to control the ball and loses it out of bounds. Well, let's talk about that last sequence there where Lohorn has Clayhan on the block, gets the entry pass, but as he put up the shot, Charles out of nowhere. We talked about his speed and how he loves to come over from the weak side to block shots.
That was a grown man's block, Paul. I mean, he should have waved it to Kende Mutombo, big finger after that one.
Dawson drives down the lane. Dawson with a nice move inside, but puts it too strong off the glass. And again, the Heat losing it out of bounds. This time it's Morrison who grabbed the rebound, but unable to control his feet as he stumbles out of bounds.
And Charles not only is a tall guy, but he has fantastic timing with his blocks. I mean, he came out of nowhere to block Lohorn's dunk attempt.
Oh, Chris Charles, we've touched on this before, how the man loves to come out and block shots on the outside. He's very active, so he likes to help out coming over from the weak side. So, with Lohorn being defended by Clan, no problem there for Chris Charles.
Yeah, and we can see Coach Rapp trying to go back into that matchup, trying to get the ball to Lohorn to draw more fouls off Chris Charles, but so far hasn't been able to do so. Meanwhile, Saigon Heat guards have to knock down some shots if they're to get back into this game.
So dribble penetration needed for the Saigon Heat to be able to open up some of their shooters from the outside. There we have a look at Coach Bryant, talking it up with his squad, as he's got to be quite happy here with a 12-point lead at Tan Binh.
Saigon Heat crowd is just dying to get into this game, looking for any reason or play to get behind their team, but they know their team's struggling right now without David Palmer.
You said it, Darren. This is probably the quietest I've heard this stadium so far, this season or the last. The Saigon Heat, an expansion team coming into the ABL last season. And for those of you that recall, the Heat starting off the season quite slow at 0-7, then Jason Rabideau coming in, taking over the reins, and suddenly the Heat were on a roll. Back after the timeout, the Slammers have it back on the baseline.
I was gonna say, if they scored another layup there.
Almost
bad
worse.
Timing, Paul. Bad timing. They scored a three-pointer instead.
So Bagyon off the inbounds, gets it back from outside the three-point line, knocks it down, and this crowd has gone completely silent. Lohorn, outside shot, way off the mark. Wisniewski able to grab the offensive rebound. Wisniewski with the speed mismatch. Over to Morrison, over to Dehesa. Hessa unable to knock it down. Wisniewski grabs it again. Lohorn now trying to power his way over Charles. And a foul is called off the rebound and for Chanahan Clay, and that's going to be his 4th foul.
And you cannot fault the Saigon Heat for effort. They had 3 attempts to score in that round. Again, the length of Charles disrupting Lohorn's right-handed hook shot.
So both players playing each other very well, Chris Charles and Lohorn. Michael Earl checks in for Clayhan, who was in danger of fouling out.
Michael Earl has been a non-factor this game, Paul. He's only played about 6 minutes.
Lohorn almost has it tipped away. Reyes now down the middle, out of bounds, but that's off Dawson, so the Heat will keep it with 13 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
Reminds me of a little game I played as an elementary school student, hot potato. Ball cannot, the Saigon Heat are losing the ball left and right. Can't seem to control it.
Nobody wants it. Ben Wisniewski taking on Michael Earl. Over to Reyes, shoots the 3, and he misses another. Michael Earl comes up with the rebound. And what Michael Earl does here is add some size to the middle. Baghian over to Earl, thinks about the outside shot, sends it over to Laupool, and he's off the mark. Morrison grabs the rebound to Reyes, back over to Morrison. Lohorn has it inside, posting up Charles. Lohorn makes his move. What a great move inside by Dior Lohorn over 2 players as he takes it over Chris Charles and Michael Earl.
This is why we love the ABL, Paul. You got the best scorer in the league going against the best defender in the league. And the offense prevailed this time.
Chris Charles gets stripped, and it's a 4-on-4 situation. DeHessa, nobody home, but Dawson comes out of nowhere, blocks it off the glass, and Laupool takes the transition jumper. Misses back.
The Saigon Heat have to attack the basket. Both big men for the Slammers slow to get back.
Playing a lot of minutes in this one, especially Dior Lohorn. Having played most of this game so far. Chris Charles, after that break, after early foul trouble, has played pretty much every minute since.
Forgive me, Paul, if I had been running around for 30 minutes like that, I probably would not get back on defense as well. Saigon Heat still need to take advantage of numbers.
Morrison down the lane, and he gets it to go off the glass.
Morrison is the microwave for the Saigon Heat. If he goes, the team goes. Let's see if he can start putting some points on the board.
Baghian over to Laupool, inside to Charles. Charles bangs, rolls out, and that's off of Charles' missed shot. Goes back the other way to the Saigon Heat. So a great job there defensively by Dior Lohorn against Chris Charles. So a great chess match between the 2 players right now, offensively and defensively.
The Heat have been playing solid defense. They just haven't been able to score on the offensive end.
Lohorn over to DeHessa. DeHessa, he's not going to shoot it with Charles in front of him. Reyes, though, with the cut, pulls up on the baseline, sends it over to an open DeHessa. DeHessa on the baseline. Can't get it to go as Chris Charles meets him there, grabs the rebound. This is Baghian. With 10 seconds remaining here in the 3rd quarter, the Slammers will hold it for one last possession. Up by 11, Baghian finds Laupool. Air ball, and Charles grabs the rebound, but the shot is late. But the Slammers take an 11-point lead after 3 quarters. It's 56-45 for the Chang Thailand Slammers. This is ABL Friday Basketball live on Fox Sports. We'll be back with 4th quarter action. After 3 quarters of play here at Binh Stadium, we are back live on Fox Sports for ABL Friday basketball. The Chang Thailand Slammers take an 11-point lead, 56-45 over the Saigon Heat so far.
Yeah, and Dior Lohorn has put the Saigon Heat on his back. He scored 30 points, 30 out of their 45 points, but the Thailand Slammers, with their superior depth, are just slowly wearing down the Saigon Heat.
Chris Charles for the Slammers held scoreless there in the 3rd quarter, but Dawson, Woody Palm Dawson, completely picking up the slack as he and Bagyan have combined for 30 points so far for the Slammers.
Dawson chipping in 16 points, Bagyan with 14. Again, Charles is getting help from his outside perimeter players. That's really the difference in this game.
Fatigue, definitely a factor in this game. We saw there, nearing the end of the 3rd quarter, Dior Lohorn and Chris Charles, both of them having trouble getting back there on offense and defense.
It's a big men's game, basketball, and both these players are so important to their team's success. They have to play every minute.
We caught up earlier last evening, I did actually, with some of the players getting some late night workouts at the hotel gym. So we know that they're working on their conditioning for this one. So as we start the 4th quarter, it's Reyes, Lohorn, Wisniewski, 2, and Min to start the final quarter for the Heat as Lohorn drives down the lane and draws the foul from Chris Charles. For the Slammers, it's Fernandez, Dawson, Charles, Laucool, and Michael Earl to start the 4th. Dior Lohorn heads to the line, shooting 2. So a 4th quarter run, not out of reach at all for the Saigon Heat. We've seen them on scoring streaks before. We've seen Jai Reyes last week hit 2 or 3 threes in a row in order to cut the lead and pull them a lot closer than they should be against the Slingers.
Just a little more than a month ago, they were down over 10 points against the San Miguel Beermen, made a run and beat one of the best teams in the league. So they have hope. They know they can win this game.
Laucool. This time he gets fouled by Min, so a little taste of his own medicine there.
The Heat have to be careful here. They have to be aggressive in pressuring the ball, but they don't want to pick up a lot of ticky-tack fouls because that will send the Slammers to the line.
Laucool in place for Froyan Bagyan here to start the 4th, showing Coach Bryant's confidence in his young guys. Charles, an open shot from the free throw line, misses it.
It's a very interesting defensive set from Coach Rabideau, just putting Lohorn in the paint and daring Charles to shoot an outside shot.
Lohorn now has it on the block against a smaller Michael Earl. The turnaround fadeaways way off the mark. Strong. Laucool tries to find Charles inside. Gets his own miss as Reyes could do nothing to stop him. Gets knocked down to the floor. Charles has an easy putback.
Very close to a charge there from Charles, but no call from the officials.
Reyes gets the handoff from Lauren, and that's tipped away by Laucool, running the floor. Gives it up to Charles, and another easy layup for Chris Charles. So the lead is back up to 13. So again, as soon as the Heat have a chance to cut it within single digits, the Slammers stretch it back out. Reyes along the baseline. 7 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Reyes finds 2, shoots the 3, off the mark. So
I can't give enough credit to Laucool and the pressure he's putting on Jai Reyes. Jai Reyes is the team's 3rd leading scorer, and he's usually such a factor on offense. Tonight, he's really been shut down.
Fernandez over to Charles, shoots another jumper, back to himself off the long rebound. Slammers back inside to Charles again, and this time he takes a much closer jump shot. That's more like a baby hook shot for him as he gets that high reach, and he's able to draw the foul and go to the line. Slammers now pushing it to a 15-point lead, possibly more.
And Charles heating up this fourth quarter. His teammates getting him involved. He's got 2 easy layups. And now if he can get this 3-point play, that's 7 quick points for the big man from the Thailand Slammers.
Misses the free throw. So the Saigon Heat cooling off from the outside. Reyes pumping, steps to the right, misses the 3. 7:30 remaining here in the game. Michael Earl, with no one on him, takes it all the way to the basket for the two-handed flush.
Woo, throw it down, big man, throw it down.
Look at Michael Earl running the floor for the Slammers, and it's now out to a 17-point lead for the Slammers. We're going to step away, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with fourth quarter action on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports. Welcome back to ABL Friday Basketball live on Fox Sports. We are still here at Binh Stadium, waiting the outcome of this one with 7:30 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Slammers lead at 64-47 over the Saigon Heat. After that last two-handed flush by Michael Earl, the Heat trying to regroup as Larry, too, with a beautiful move. Scoop shot, up and under and in.
As we watch Larry, too, with this crossover. Now you see me, now you don't.
A great move. A little Jordan-esque as Fernandez takes the fadeaway jumper.
Should we call him Larry Jordan?
Not
Jordan?
yet.
Air Larry?
Now, Michael Earl there on that last sequence before the break probably is gearing up for that Hoops Festival coming up in a couple of weeks here at Binh with the Slam Dunk Festival coming up.
I would love to see him in the contest.
Earl gets the inbound pass. This is Chris Charles with a nice baby hook there over Dior Lohorn.
That's 6'11" to 6'7". It's too much size for Dior Lohorn to handle. And we can really see the effect that Charles and Earl are having on defense. Morrison, as we see Morrison with the tip. Morrison flies in at the last minute here with the tip.
Charles was pretty sure he had that rebound until Morrison came in. And the crowd is back at it again now. Slammers trying to hang on to their lead. Laucool throws up a wild shot. Gathered up though, Chris Charles with another putback. You know, those are the killers.
Well, it's it, but it's like he's in varsity and the other players in JV. He's that much bigger than everyone else, and he's having a field day down low.
Reyes with an open 3. Rare miss. Normally knocks those down from up top. Heat though with the offensive rebound. Gets another crack at it. And too much contact there off the screen, so that's going to be a foul.
The Heat desperately looking to drive and kick against this bigger Thai Slammers team, and the only person who's really been successful has been Larry too. Otherwise, they haven't been able to get any inside layups.
Reyes kicks
there
out.
We go.
Morrison Again off the mark, so the Heat shooting has completely left them here in the fourth. Fernandez puts one up. And that's gathered up by Morrison. Just over 5 minutes remaining here in the game. 68-51 for the Slammers. Morrison over to Reyes. Reyes guarded by Earl. Morrison drives, dishes to Lohorn, who gets fouled by Lert Laucool. So despite that foul by Lert Laucool, who has, I believe, fouled out of the game, despite that, I believe Coach Bryant will be very happy with that performance, as he has just allowed Baghian almost a 5-minute rest here in the fourth.
So Lert Laucool has been a great boost. I mean, he's played great defense against Reyes, essentially shut Reyes down, and also scored about 7-8 points.
A solid performance from the bench of the Slammers.
Yeah, and the Saigon Heat have had 2 solid offensive possessions. Let's see if they can keep it up and narrow down this deficit, the waning moments of this fourth quarter.
Substitution after the made free throw by Lohorn. A lot of changes on the floor. It's going to be Min, DeHessa, Lohorn, Morrison, and Reyes for the Heat. And Baghian, Birambilichai, Earl, Charles, and Fernandez for the Slammers. This is Baghian, crossover against Morrison down the lane. What a great crossover. Now those are the ones, you don't rely on speed, it's just timing.
I mean, this guy has studied Chris Paul. As you watch him, he gives the head fake to throw the defender off, then takes it straight to the hole. He is a student of the game, Paul.
Nice bounce pass inside the Lohorn. A little too strong there off the back iron. Goes back to the hands of the Slammers. Still hanging on to a 17-point lead here in the fourth. Charles tries to gather up the pass from Baghian. Those two, that's automatic to them now throughout this 2013 season. Since the arrival of Charles, these two have been clicking really on point.
I mean, that's got to be one of the deadliest pick and roll tandems in the ABL. You have Baghian, who can create just about anything, and a big man like Charles to finish around the hoop, deadly.
As a coach, you got to love a guy who can catch the ball up high and not having to pull it down, just finish up high as well. Slammers inbound from the baseline. The Heat now defending better on the inbounds pass. Closing out on the shooters. Reyes almost gets the steal. Baghian tries to fire a pass inside, but that's tipped away. And Reyes goes back the other way. Here's Min. Thinks about it, but he travels. He's going to be called for steps as he thinks about the outside shot and goes for the dribble.
Basketball, it's a game that's played on instinct, and you can tell that Min was thinking a little too much. Normally, a great shooter from the outside, he's got to take that three. And the crowd knows it.
Baghian, that was Wisniewski on him, screened off by Charles again. And a pass to Birambilichai, misses the reverse. That rolls out.
Baghian tells Palm, you don't want to give me an assist there.
Here comes Baghian off the missed shot by the Heat. Baghian pulling it back out, trying to take some time off the clock. And call 3 seconds in the key against Chris Charles. So that's going to go back to the hands of the Saigon Heat. Violation against Chris Charles. There you see it on the replay.
Coach Bryant just shrugs his shoulders. I think he counted 1 second, not 3.
There's Morrison. Outside to Min. Here's Min from outside. And that's off the mark.
That's the right shot. He's got to keep taking that shot.
Wow! What a long outlet pass ahead to Chris Charles, and that's how you become the assist leader in the league.
Chris Charles is a smart player. He runs the floor and establishes position against Min, who's half his size.
Ben Wisniewski trying to take it against Charles.
That's another block, his 6th of the game.
Denied. The league block leader sending another one out. And now Baghian, with plenty of time on the shot clock, decides to take it against Wisniewski one-on-one. Both players great fundamentally. Birambilichai takes the 3 and it's tracked down by Lohorn. Here comes Lohorn, who loses it, but it's off Hernandez. He saw the ball there ricochet off his hands. And a timeout on the floor for the Saigon Heat. So now, time is definitely not a friend of the Saigon Heat.
It's not, Paul. This game's in the refrigerator. Doors closed, lights are out, butter's getting hard, jello's jiggling, the eggs are just sitting there. Saigon Heat, it'd take almost a miracle for them to get back into this game. It's just too much size and great defense from the Thailand Slammers.
There you see it, 72-53, a 19-point lead, which was their biggest lead of the game now. And then there's only about 2 minutes, just over 2.5 minutes remaining in this one. Jason Robideau trying to keep his crew positive there. You know, he talks a lot about dribble penetration for the kick out because, you know, Saigon Heat, a lot of times when they find themselves down, they have to rely on their three-point shooting. But today, they haven't done enough from the outside to prove that they can come back in this fashion.
Right on point, Paul. Saigon Heat have been shooting less than 33% this game. They haven't been able to knock down any shots. If you play a kick and drive and kick game, you got to make outside shots, and they haven't done it this game.
On the other bench, a lot of smiles coming from Coach Bryant, his team, but they know they've got to get the job done here with under 3 minutes remaining. Play back underway now, and Lohorn has it underneath against Earl. Morrison now driving inside, and you know, things just not going the way for the Saigon Heat right now, and that just tells the story of the game right there.
Sometimes it's not your day. Philip Morrison with a fantastic drive, takes it straight to the hoop. Should have been a great finish, ball just won't go down.
So the only standout in this game for the Saigon Heat is Dior Lohorn, the only player in double digits, I should add. That's a heavy load to carry as we see Chris Charles with, you know, that's just too easy of a basket to make as Bagyan lobs it up right here to Charles, and he just taps it in like a little volleyball tap. Now that pretty much tells the story for the other side, for the other team right there.
Absolutely.
Morrison, and he finally gets a three to go down with under 2 minutes remaining.
Morrison, one of the streakiest shooters in this league. A beautiful release. It's just a little, too late.
Bagyan dancing around the defense. Shot is off, but Michael Earl tries to get the putback. He misses it. Quickly the other way is the Heat. Ben Wisniewski for three. That's off. So, looking like the final result here as the Slammers take another shot, and that's good to go. You know, everything not going the Heat way, but everything going the way for the Slammers throughout this entire game, especially nearing the end of the game here in the fourth quarter.
You know, it can be demoralizing when you're a smaller team and you see the other man's big man tapping balls to himself at the basket. That's just heartbreaking. The Saigon Heat, you know, will have to re-gear and come back strong in their next game.
So, complete lineup change for Coach Bryant's Slammers as Kitipan Wana comes into the game, along with Wachaparam Tongsri, Sukdev Gogar, and Apiram Villachai. Michael Earl stays into the game, the middle position. And this is Trunk, who misses that shot. Minute remaining now. This is Wana. Pass broken up by Trunk. He's fouled by Apiram Villachai.
The crowd loves to see their local players out on the court, so we have Trung, Binh, and
we have
two Trunks.
both Trunks.
Trung and Binh. Got me there.
No relation.
But the Saigon Heat crowd loves getting behind their local players, and seeing them out on the court right now is a real joy for the crowd.
A commanding 20-point lead to close this out with 50 seconds remaining, and Reyes loses the ball again. Definitely not his night. Wana to Sektira. The Tongsri loves that outside shot. Tipped away, And here comes the Saigon Heat. Min with the layup. And the crowd is still showing their support here, even with their team down 18.
You can't play for a better crowd in the ABL, Paul. They'll still cheer their team on to the last second.
And a turnover. Back to the Heat. Heat trying to cut the deficit to make this look a little more reasonable on their end, as this is one of the lower scoring games they've had all season. Possibly this is their lowest scoring output so far in 2013.
Yeah, it's really, as we talked from the beginning of the show, David Palmer. They really miss his scoring, his ability to calm the team down, nail a dagger three at the right moment. So they will have to come up with some new offensive schemes to really score more points.
And with time winding down here, the Heat are going to have it for one final possession. Crowd asking for the shot. And that will do it here at Binh Stadium. 76-58, the final score in this one. The Slammers winning big over the Saigon Heat. We're going to continue it right here on ABL Friday Basketball with interviews, statistics, and highlights. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this. This is ABL Friday Basketball live on Fox Sports. You're with Paul Malelli, Darren Joe, and Joe Johnson. And we just bear witness to a blowout by the Chang Thailand Slammers over the Saigon Heat right here in Binh. Wow, what a great game this has been. Let's have a look at the performance so far from the Slammers. It was Froilan Bagyan, Wutipong Dawson, and Chris Charles.
Absolutely. We talked about the important big two matchups were going to be Charles against Lowhorn, and they both played fantastic, had great games, but Froilan Bagyan won his matchup against Jai Reyes. Jai Reyes had 7 turnovers, 4 points. Froilan Bagyan, 16 points, 12 assists, and only 4 turnovers. He really controlled the game. And the last factor I'd like to talk about is the Thailand Slammers defense. They really shut down the Heat and made them shoot outside, and the Heat couldn't bury any jumpers.
So staying right with his season average with 12 assists, as you mentioned, Bagyan. And of course, on the receiving end of most of those assists was Chris Charles, who had a quiet third quarter, but finished the game strong, closing it out with 22 points and 17 rebounds. Wow, almost another 20-20 game for him.
He is an absolute beast. I mean, he's a smart player, he's tall, he has size. He's definitely one of the best big men in this league.
Now, Dior Lowhorn having to carry the entire load for the Saigon Heat, as he's the only player in double digits with 34 points for the Saigon Heat. That's not going to do it.
I mean, he played a great game. He gave it everything he had, but again, his teammates need to step up. Larry, too, had some great drives. Adam Morrison came out big late in the game, but there were just too many turnovers and too many missed shots. The Saigon Heat shot less than 25% in the game, and that's not going to do it.
We're going to send it over now to Joe Johnson, who's got Froilan Bagyan and Coach Bryant of the Chang Thailand Slammers.
I'm here with Foylan Baggion and Coach Joe Bryant. Coach, great game tonight. It is tough to come into Saigon, let alone win by a big margin. How do you build on this?
All right, well, tomorrow's another day. We just take this win and enjoy it, and we worry about tomorrow. But, like I said, the fans are great here. I mean, this is the best in the ABL. It's the best I've seen, around. So, for us to stay focused and come out with a, 18-point win, I'm very happy.
Great, thank you, Coach. Foylan, double digits in points and assists tonight. How'd you do it?
Just keep playing together. That's why Coach gave me a lot of playing times and lead this team.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Paul, back to you.
Thank you, Joe. So that was Coach Bryant and Foylan Baggion, not big on words, but had a big game in this one. We're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We've got stats, highlights, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff for you right here on ABL Friday Basketball, live on Fox Sports. Next game, besok siapa? Besok siapa yang main? Hafal nggak? Nggak ya? Nggak usah. Ada, oke. Thank you. Kasih tahu ya kalau grafis masuk. Stats highlights ada? Any stats, sir? Thanks for sticking with us right here on ABL Friday Basketball. Back with Paul Palelli and Darren Joe and Joe Johnson. So, we saw a lot of action inside the paint for the Slammers, and that's what really won it. Outscoring the Heat in the paint, 40-28.
As I said, basketball, it's a big man's game. If you can shoot closer to the basket, you're going to win.
And of course, off the bench, Coach Bryant, we mentioned this earlier on. He loves to show confidence with his local players, yes. And coming off the bench, Lau Cool, players like that were able to, they were able to outscore the Heat 11-4 coming off the bench.
Yeah, and a player who really stood out for me is Dawson. I mean, he was solid. He scored 16 points this game, inside, outside. He gave great support to the point guard and center.
And this is the first time that you witnessed Coach Bryant coaching
yes.
live in action. Yes. What are your thoughts on that?
I really like watching Coach Bryant. I think he learned something from Phil Jackson, Kobe Bryant's coach in the Lakers. He's got this zen attitude about him. Just now in the interview, saying that this stadium is the best in the ABL. I tend to agree, but I'm from Saigon. But just a really gracious coach, and I think it's great to have him in the league, and as he develops, Thailand's best players in the future.
So a schedule coming up for the Heat. They've got the Slammers again in their next game. Then they face off against the Dragons and the Slingers. Here's our next game coming up at Yanara Sports Arena. San Miguel Beerman will host the Westport's Malaysia Dragons tomorrow. You can catch that on live stream at www.ASEANBasketballLeague.com. And you can catch all of our live streaming games on youtube.com/ABL. Don't forget as well, you can follow our Twitter at ABL News. And you can also check out our Facebook page. Just search ASEAN Basketball League. All right, that's it for us. We'd like to thank everyone who helped out here. And we're going to show you, before we go, we've got the standings. Now, with this win, the Saigon Heat have now evened it out. That's actually incorrect. It's going to be 3-5.
So right. The Saigon Heat are now 3-5, and the Chang Thailand Slammers are 3-6. So they're 5th and 6th in the ranking, but the way these standings go, they're close enough to the middle that they can still make a push to the playoffs.
And there's still plenty of time in this season, for them to move things around. There we see the middle of the pack is very, packed up there with at 4-4, at 4-3. The Beermen just taking that second spot now after that last win. But the Slingers and Dragons, with winning streaks as of late for them, they've been on some good winning habits lately. So look for them to challenge as well. The Indonesia Warriors are going to come back after a 19-day hiatus back at the Mahaka Square, or I believe Tennis Indoor Sanayan for their next game, so look out for that. All right, on behalf of everyone here at the studio, everyone here at Tan Binh Stadium, on behalf of Joe Johnson, Darren Jones, joining us on ABL Friday Basketball on Fox Sports, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.